All right, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freyway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny.
Oi.
And today we will be covering a couple video games that are coming out very soon, some of them anyway, and some of them are coming out next year, but they were all announced in June, and it's been a pretty exciting month for RPGs in general, I would say. I'm really excited because Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary just happened, and they had an entire presentation just for it, where they announced a ton of shit. There was a Nintendo Direct that came out this week, and also there was a Xenoblade 3 Direct just for that game that came out as well. So there's a lot to cover here. But before we get into that, I actually wanted to give a shout out to the people on our Patreon at the start of this episode. I usually do it in the middle or at the end. This time we'll do it at the start because we are nearing the end of the month or the start of a new month. And it's the best time to join our Patreon because the way it works is kind of weird. And I don't really agree with this, but let's say you joined the Patreon on the 15th. They will charge you on the 15th, and then they'll charge you again on the 1st. So if you join at the beginning of the month, it basically means that you won't get charged again until the first of the month of the following month. So I really encourage people that want to join our Patreon for exclusive content, episodes that only drop on Patreon, the ability to duel us and stuff like that, the ability to join the IMNerd podcast Discord. Do it at the beginning of the month. That way you don't get charged twice. It'd be really awkward if you joined on, like, let's say June 30th, and then on July 1st, they charge you again, and you might think that there's something fraudulent happening, or why did I get charged twice? I don't know why Patreon does that, but they do that. So without further ado, shout out to the people who have been supporting us. We have Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Garen, and Xavier, Hylian, TCG Automotive, Silver Chronic, Tyree Tinsley, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Giovanni Avelos, Game Freak Yoshi, Alex Flamer, Henri Reynolds, CJ, WK-1, Salt at Dabber's Gaming Cafe, and the owner of Thank Ritual, where you can get really nice deck boxes and cloth playmats. Again, that's dankritual.com. Dan Vrabel, Dennis Milburn, Joseph Marcello, Red Vines, First to Home, Dalis Fernaris, Tom Wanabiki, S. Akuma, Mitchell Naus, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Sofiridis, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Biz, Roz Weiss, Luke Feeney, Nick Stango, and last but not least, Scott Polera. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it. It goes a long way. And without further ado, let's get into the show. So let's kick things off with the Final Fantasy VII celebration for its 25th anniversary. This was pretty exciting. It's weird though. So I didn't find out about it until, like, it had already concluded. And one of my friends sent me a YouTube video. And it actually was Tyree. Tyree Tinsley texted me while I was at Locals. I was at Locals playing Edison format, playing my Yu-Gi-Oh, minding my business, and Tyree's like, "Are you watching this?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Am I watching what?" Like, you can't just say it to somebody like, "Are you watching this?" That could be anything in 2022. Like, that could really literally, it could be anything. So when he said, "Are you watching this?" I was low-key a little annoyed. Like, what the fuck does that mean? What am I missing? And honestly, I got afraid. A part of, like, this is how fucked the world is right now. This is a little tangent, but I'm gonna just tell you guys anyway. At first, my mind immediately went to something bad, because there's been a lot going on. I won't get into the details, but you guys know what I'm talking about. This country has a severe problem. And when he said, "Are you watching this?" all I was thinking about was like, oh God, please don't let there be some kind of, like, crazy attack on this country or something weird like that I'm just fully unaware of, because I'm at Local surrounded by a bunch of nerds. We're all just dueling, right? No one's looking at their phone for the news. Everyone's just playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and just having the time of their life. So I went to something completely negative, but then he sent me a link to YouTube, and it was Final Fantasy VII, and it was the trailer that I ended up getting sent, I believe, was for Rebirth, which is part 2 of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which apparently Remake is not the name of the entire series. It's just part
Remake,
1.
Rebirth, and
Reunion, probably.
Reunion, Relive. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, there's going to be... So they also confirmed in this presentation, this is a trilogy. Now, there was a lot of speculation, especially from me, about the direction of this entire Final Fantasy VII Remake project, because part 1 only covers Midgar. And for people who have played the original game, which is 25 years old, which is older than some of the people listening to this right now, you fucking super kids, that game, Midgar is a small part of it. Like, it is the beginning. It is the prologue. It is essentially the first maybe 7 hours of the game, right? Like, it's not that long, but it always feels kind of long. But honestly, if you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing, that part of the game is not very long. And they made an entire 40+ hour game out of it, which I'm not complaining, because I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. And it low-key, high-key might be my favorite Final Fantasy game ever, next to 10, 9, 8. It's up there. It's in the conversation. I haven't really digested which one I like the most, but it's the only game that I've ever gotten 100% completion on. Like on my PlayStation 4, it shows Final Fantasy VII Remake is at 100%. I platinumed it or whatever you call it, but I got everything. I got all the dresses, endings, whatever. Like I got a Damarong, beat it on hard mode, every chapter on hard mode. I've done everything. I've gotten all the crazy materia. It's great. I love the game a lot. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I expected to like it, but I love it. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out.
Something that's interesting is we already talked about this the multiple times we talked about FF7, about how it's a remake, but it's also like it's a remake in both real life and in the universe, right?
Yes.
It's Sephiroth or whoever changing the timeline and doing all this crazy shit, right? So we all already kind of knew that. But then also at the same time, we always say part one is just the Midgar arc. And what's interesting and what I kind of got after watching the trailer for Rebirth is I'm not totally sure if going forward it's even going to be like I'm not even totally sure part 3 or like even all the part 2 is even going to follow anything that happened in the original FF7. Like it seems like it might be moving into a legit different game sequel kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I agree with you actually. The more I have watched these trailers and the more I've thought about it, because I was speaking with our friend Gary about there's no way they can cover it in 3 parts if they go at the same pace they did for Midgar, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, we're still in disc 1 of the original game right now. We're in the beginning of disc 1 of the original game. And there's so much to cover in disc 1. And spoiler alert, but, you know, Aerith dies at the end of disc 1. And I'm starting to think that this game is actually going to conclude with disc 1 where she's supposed to die. And they might change how that goes. That's clearly what they're leading towards, it seems like. They're alluding to this, the world is different and the timeline's being changed. So I think that the end of part 3 is going to be the infamous Sephiroth coming down with the sword to kill her. And it's going to be an epic fight and maybe a change of fate. That's where I think this entire thing is going. So basically, I say all that to say, I think the entire trilogy is literally either going to deviate completely, starting with Rebirth, or it's going to still loosely follow the base game, but it's only going to be disc 1. Like all 3 parts are going to literally just be disc 1. And I could see that being done. Like that's, they have enough. Even if they expand on, I think they can get disc 1 done in 3 parts, realistically.
Yeah.
And that would be really cool.
What you're saying is, what you mean by that is that it's only going to cover disc 1 because disc 2 forward is just never going to happen. It's going to be a different story.
I really don't think that the game is going to go the same. I think Sephiroth's going to get defeated in some way by the end of the 3rd part, and it's going to stop her from dying maybe. And like that'll, either it'll stop her from dying or she'll still die, sacrificing herself to save the planet because Sephiroth has accelerated the planet's destruction with the Black Materia meteor, and she uses Holy earlier and it kills her. And then like there's no need for part 2 and 3 really, because, or this 2 and 3 at that point, like they can just cut that out. But who knows? Honestly, this is all speculation, of course. Like this podcast is just the conversations that Kenny and I would have.
It's so interesting because just watching it, I was like, man, it's starting to feel like there's going to be less and less in this remake that is actually from the original game.
What in particular makes you say that?
I don't know. I just like watching the trailer and like hearing what they were saying, like Cloud, and I don't know, just like listening to the characters and just like watching what was happening.
So the one thing that seemed similar to me at the very least is we know that after Midgard, the very first thing that happens is you go to a village named Calm, and Cloud talks to you guys about Sephiroth's past. He talks about how they were together in Soldier. This is when Cloud was a noob and Sephiroth was godly. And they talk about Nibelheim. And there's that entire arc where you actually have Sephiroth on your party. When I was watching the trailer, and it's all in PlayStation 5 graphics and, you know, everything, they were walking together and Cloud is speaking. So you can tell he's speaking to like Barrett, Tifa, and everybody. And he's saying he wants his birthright. He wants to rule the planet alongside Genova, which is basically the same type of stuff he's saying in Calm when he's telling a story about Nibelheim and what happened. And so I was like, oh, they're literally going to do the next arc, which is the Calm arc, which everyone's wondering, am I going to get to play with Sephiroth? Like that is a huge, because in the original game,
when they showed like, because if I remember that scene, they're showing Cloud walking, and at first Sephiroth's not on screen, and Sephiroth kind of walks on screen, and he's behind. It's like, oh my god!
Sephiroth is playable for that part. Now I told Gary that there's a chance that Sephiroth will not be playable technically because he wasn't playable in the original game either. So they could choose to let us have fun or choose to not let us have fun.
Yeah.
I said Sephiroth, he has Thunder 3, Fire 3, Ice 3, all. He has all these crazy, his base attack just do like 3,700. His magic just literally ends the battle whenever he does it. You get killed, he revives you with life 2. It's insane. And you don't get to actually use him. He actually uses you for preemptive strike. That's the only material you have. So it makes it where you get the first action in battle. He has that on your Buster Sword and nothing else. And then he just has the nuts on Masamune. Like, he just has everything. So I'm wondering if they will let us switch to his character when he's in battle, or will he just straight up, like the original game, take over every battle, win the battle for us, end the battle in like 3 seconds, and he's basically Berserker.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do it. I think we're going to enjoy it no matter what, though, at the end of the day. Like, obviously, it will be fun to control Sephiroth, but if you don't get to control him and you just get to watch him go fucking ape shit, that will still be cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm excited. Rebirth is looking really, really good.
Yes, Rebirth looks really good, and I have high expectations now because of how good Remake was. And we did an entire podcast episode on that, so check that out. If you haven't heard our Final Fantasy VII Remake episode, we had special guests. We had 2 special guests on there for the first time. We had Anthony Simpson and Chris Lynn. So check that out. It's one of my favorite episodes that we've recorded because I think both me and Kenny, we appreciate the game a lot. And then also having two people on the podcast who also really, really appreciated Final Fantasy VII Remake. And one person who never even played the original and still really, really loved the remake.
Yeah.
So that was a cool perspective just to have somebody, because a lot of people haven't played the original, I assume, at this point. Like, it's 25 years old.
I think before, I'm getting to the point though where like, before Rebirth comes out, I might have to replay the original. You know what I mean? Like, I might have to stream or something.
That's a good idea, actually. Just because I don't remember the full story after Midgar like that. Like, I know the story of Final Fantasy VII overall, but
of course,
there's parts, right? There's parts that I might not remember the fine details of. Like, I know the Golden Saucer's coming up, and to me, I already said this before, that's gonna be fucking crazy looking. Be really cool. Seeing that in 4K, the Gold Saucer, after just seeing what they did to the Sector 7 slums, right? Like, just what they did to Wall Market. Wall Market by itself is like this fantastical place in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And the Golden Saucer in the original game blows Wall Market out the water. It's not even close. So I can't wait to see that in 4K.
I was thinking about it. It's just, I don't remember who I was talking to recently, but somebody was talking about how, I think they were re-going through an anime or replaying a game that they've watched or played a bunch of times. I don't remember what it was. I don't even remember who it was, but we were talking and he was saying like, man, it's crazy. It might have even been you. I don't know. But they were saying like, it's crazy how, like, it doesn't matter how many times you go through something, like, you just like, there's things that you forget. And like,
yes, no matter, it was me. We were talking about this recently because I said with Game of Thrones, there are scenes that I just legit do not remember. And I've watched Game of Thrones now over 24 times, like, actually. And there are things that I see and I'm like, I do not recall that. I genuinely don't recall that scene. So yeah, I think that going through 7 again, if we find time, would be great. The other thing is that Final Fantasy VII Integrate, which I have not played yet, is the little side story with Yuffie. That is now available on PC, on Steam.
Yeah.
So I will be actually getting a copy of that to play. And that's likely how I will play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because it's out on PS5 and it'll be out on Steam. I do not own a PS5 yet. And honestly, I don't really want to, because I have a PS4. I had a PS4 for a long time. And on my PS4, I can count on one hand how many games I played. Now, granted, every game I played on PS4 they're God tier games. I've played God of War, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts 3, and there may be one other game that I played on there, and that's
Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World. That's great. That's the one. So that's the one I have 1,300 hours on. So those are the 5 games I've played. I meant to play Spider-Man because I heard that game was insane. It was nominated for Game of the Year, but I never actually got around to it. One of my coworkers let me in a game, and I never played it. And I know that's a travesty because it's one of the best games apparently created or whatever. It's like the best Spider-Man game ever, and I just never played it. But it's sitting in my living room right now, and that's just to say I don't really use my consoles like that.
Yeah,
like I buy them, and they just end up being furniture. So my PS4 Pro is just like a nice piece of furniture that I've played 5 things on. And I don't think that that's really worth it, especially considering PS5s, I think, are like $700-800 after everything.
Really expensive, and like if all of the games are going to be on PC anyway, it's like, well, if you already have a PC, then
Yeah, I have a gaming PC. I blatantly bought one in 2019. And I mean, even if I couldn't play something, I could just buy better parts. But like, I'm confident that my Alienware desktop can like play all the games that I want to play. Like, I'm not going to be running Battlefield on Ultra, but I can play an RPG like Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I'm going to play Integrate on Steam. I think it's like $15 or something. Maybe I would get a copy somewhere else, but you know, whatever. And I want to really, really play that because I didn't even realize as I was watching this 25th anniversary celebration that part of the stuff they were showing was from Integrate. I had no idea.
I was like, me too.
Okay.
I was because I didn't really get to see I didn't get to see any Integrate either.
Right.
And so I was watching it and I was like getting hype, and then I was like, wait a minute. That's all stuff that's already out?
Yeah, bro. I was genuinely shocked. I saw because there was like this really cool dude with a katana, and he had white spiked gray, like white hair, and he was doing all these cool ass movements, and he did this move where he like zipped past somebody and sheathed his sword, like you know how samurais do. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Because you know they add characters. Like the one guy they added for part 1 of Final Fantasy.
Guy they added. I forget his name.
Me too. Yeah, like they add characters. So I was like, okay, it's not out of the realm that they would just add someone. I was like, I don't know who that is. But in general, watching Yuffie, there was Yuffie gameplay in there and there was other stuff. And I was like, oh, I thought this was part of the next installment, but it's actually just the DLC attached to a remake. So I need to play that.
This Final Fantasy, I'm gonna just call it a Final Fantasy Direct. This Final Fantasy Direct was really cool. But it was also weird and frustrating in some ways. So like two things the mobile portion. First, they showed off Final Fantasy: The First Soldier, which is a mobile only game that's basically Fortnite.
Looks terrible.
Yeah, but it's basically Fortnite with with like soldiers. From Final Fantasy.
It looks fucking awful. I was sitting there looking at my screen because I just watched it before. I watched the entire presentation. It's only 15 minutes, I think, but I watched the entire presentation before recording this podcast, and that was the one part of the entire thing that I sat there and stared at my screen with indifferent. I was looking at my screen completely indifferent. The
thing is about that is so when the trailer first started before anything happened, I was like, oh cool. I was like, is this game finally going to come out? And then it was like season 3, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, hold on, because I remember when the game got announced, and I remember saying like, it doesn't look that good, but I could see it being fun because it'd be cool to play like a battle royale shooter, but using like Thundaga and stuff. Like I could see that being fun.
I thought the same thing too until I saw the actual gameplay, which just again, it does not look good at all.
It doesn't really look, but also
looks cheap.
I was just like, I still don't understand why it's a mobile only game. And anyway, I just couldn't believe. I guess maybe the game's doing good because it's on season 3, but I was like, oh, this game's about to come out, and it's like on season 3. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that game.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about First Soldier. I think it looks garbage. But what doesn't look garbage is the other mobile game, Ever Crisis.
This one got me so fucking hype and then so sad. I forgot that I was in the mobile game portion.
Me too.
I was so annoyed. In my head, I'm watching this, and at first I go, oh shit, this is really cool.
Yes.
This is going to be like a normal FF7 remake.
Yes.
And maybe it'll be on like the Switch.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I was so hyped.
I thought the same exact thing.
Oh my god, I was so sad.
And then at the end of it, they were like coming on iOS and Android, and I immediately sunk back into my chair and was like, you motherfuckers. Now, granted, I think I actually will play this if it's really a Final Fantasy VII remake, because it looks like it.
That's what it looks like,
with chibi characters, basically, which I think are so cute. Little Sephiroth, little Cloud.
And then when you go in the battle, it's just like FF7 remake graphics.
So when you go in the battle, I watched Tifa and Aerith, they were doing their specials, and it was straight up PlayStation 4 graphics. Straight up. Like, there was no... I couldn't tell it was a mobile game at all.
I really want to play that, man, because like I'm really down for... Also, I don't know if it'll be... I don't know. Like, if it's just like a FF7 remake, but like a more like faithful remake, like I'd be so down. But man, I just wish it was like on the Switch or something.
Me too. I don't like that it's a mobile game because I don't really play mobile games, but I want to play it. And I also was wondering if it was going to have some story elements that maybe were not part of the original.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to miss anything. I'm at the point in my life where I want to know the whole Final Fantasy VII storyline before, after, which brings us to our next point. they are remaking Crisis Core.
Yeah, that's hype.
And I played the original Crisis Core, actually. I don't think I beat it, though.
Me neither. For some reason, on the PSP, other than Birth by Sleep, I didn't really beat games. Like,
I
on my
did beat Birth by
PSP,
Sleep.
I played a bunch of games on my PSP. But I don't know why. Maybe it's just the time of my life. I never really finished any of my PSP games other than Birth by Sleep.
I
So, like,
think
Crisis Core, for example, I played it a lot, but I just never ended it.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think I finished it either. I know I played it a shit ton. I ended up unlocking Bahamut, a bunch of the other summons, which look in that game. Oh my god, the summons, the gold Bahamut, that shit looks wild. That game looks so good, and the combat felt good. So I really like Crisis Core. I'm happy that it's getting a remake. I will actually be playing a remake to complete it this time, and that's going to be really cool to have that experience, because that's a part of the storyline that I'm kind of still foggy on. I'm missing something there. Angeos, I think, is a really cool character. Genesis is a cool character. And if you ask me, outside of Advent Children, that game has some of the absolute best cutscene fights I've ever seen. Actually, I'm really talking about one in particular. It's where Genesis tries to fight Sephiroth, and it just does not work. I mean, it just does not work. That fighting scene is so cool. Actually, they kind of start off jumping him, and then it becomes a 1v1 because Genesis thinks that he's that guy, and he gets fucking dicked on by Sephiroth, and then the music changes. The second the music changed, I already knew he was going to be on all bullshit, but Sephiroth came out on all bullshit, and he started slicing up that reactor like it was fucking confetti. I couldn't believe it. That's one of the coolest scenes. Just look up Sephiroth versus Genesis and Angel, or however you want to write it, and it'll come right up. It is one of the absolute best Final Fantasy fighting scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So when I was first watching it too, I wasn't too sure, right? I was watching it and I was like, this is really cool. We're getting a Crisis Core remake. But then part of me was like, what if this is just a part of FF7 remake?
Part of me thought the same thing too. Then I started to look at it a little closer, and I was like, these graphics are a little, but so I kind of tell that way. But yes, this looks amazing. So I'm happy for the Crisis Core. I'm happy for Rebirth. I'm even happy for Ever Crisis. So there's plenty of stuff that came out of this that's fine. First Soldier can kiss my ass. And here's the thing I don't like. Go ahead.
Oh, in the very beginning, I did they showed memorabilia that's coming out.
Oh, okay, we can talk about that. And there's one other thing. So let's talk about the memorabilia. I definitely want the Buster Sword alarm clock.
Buster Sword alarm clock's cool. I think the vinyl is really cool. The vinyl of the FF7 music, that's such a cool thing.
That's going to be a nice collector's item.
That is going to be a really nice collector's item.
Yeah.
And it made me have a thought. This is so stupid, right? But sometimes, as a nerd, you think about really dumb things. FF7 and video game music in general is really good, but it's one of those things that goes underappreciated, obviously, by people that don't play video games.
Right.
But there's music that are in these games that are composed by these excellent composers that I think if quote-unquote regular people that love classical music or whatever, I think if they heard these compositions, they would really appreciate them.
Oh, agreed.
It made me have this really funny thought of going back in time with the FF7 vinyl and then it becoming this part of culture like Mozart.
Yeah.
or you compose this music to go along with a Shakespearean play.
Yeah.
You give the script of FF7 to Shakespeare, and he makes
because those songs we still hear those throughout certain art pieces now.
Yeah.
You'll be watching something and you'll just hear Mozart playing in the background and things like that. So it would be cool if Nobuo Uematsu's work just ends up. I like the idea of that. It's kind of some Dr. Stone shit where he starts remaking everything. Really cool.
Really cool.
So I like the memorabilia. I definitely want the Buster Sword alarm clock, and it said that it was available for pre-order. So I'm going to check that after the podcast, see if it's still available. Pre-orders usually don't sell out. Sometimes they do. Hopefully it didn't. The other thing that I wanted to say, the release date for Rebirth, so part 2 in the trilogy, is winter 2023. Now, I fucking hate any game that says it's coming out winter 2023, and the reason why is because that is the one season that crosses years. So when you say winter 2023, let's just be honest, winter's first day is December 20th. That is the first, that's the first day of winter. And that means that those 11 days of December that are considered winter, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth could come out 2023, and December,
Yeah,
or
winter is a weird one.
right, or it could come out in January of 2023 because it's still winter 2023 when it's January 2023. So we're either getting it at the very beginning of next year or
Or
we're
the
getting it at
very
the
end.
very end of next year. And I hate that for us.
Yeah, so there's like so it's like they gave us a release window, but they didn't.
Yes, I don't
Because
feel
like
like it's
saying winter
definitively.
2023 is just saying 2023.
It is.
Because winter 2023 could be the start or the end of the
And I
year.
hate that. And I think it's really tricky and I think it's cunning and conniving and fucking evil. So I was not
Yeah.
a fan of seeing winter 2023. It's the one season that you can't pin down to a specific period in the year. It literally represents two completely different parts of the year.
Yeah.
January and December. So that bothers me. But other than that, I'm excited that we actually have such a close release date regardless. Like even if it is, let's say worst case scenario, December 2023, which is only 11 days. But like let's say it is that period next year, cool. We're only a year and 5 months away from that.
Yeah, it's
Basically.
not bad.
Oh yeah, I
And
guess
there's
a year
been
and 6 months, but yeah.
and there's been there's like so many other games that I still want to play anyway.
Yes.
It's not too big of a deal. I want to, I do want to replay 7. I want to maybe, depending on whenever Crisis comes out, and if there's some way I can play it on something that's not a phone, I want to maybe play that. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. All right. Moving right along. So Xenoblade 3. I've never played a Xenoblade game, but Kenny, Jeff Jones, a lot of other people who I know who love RPGs, Gary, Medina, a lot of people, they swear by the Xenoblade series and they really like it. They've played the first two, where Pyramithra from Smash Bros. They're in the second one, and Shulk, who's also in Smash Bros. Now I think about it, is from the first one. And I actually have the first one on my Switch right now. I started it, but I haven't actually gone through it. But these games are highly regarded as really, really fun and good RPGs, very long games as well, lots of content. And so
Yeah, baby.
now there's a third one coming out. And I watched a trailer at slash the Nintendo Direct for it before this episode. And I was blown away. The Direct is only 24 minutes, but I feel like I was watching a fucking movie. It was so long in the sense that there was a lot to cover. And I'm excited.
The Xenoblade Direct had me losing my mind when I saw it. So just so everybody, am I cutting out?
No, you're good. You were good right there.
Just so everyone knows, 3 story will be playable completely without playing 1 or 2.
Yes.
So that's first of all. But second of all, so watching the Direct, like you said, it was like 25 minutes or something like that. The trailer, the story sequences looked really good. I think the graphics look fucking great for the Nintendo Switch. Like, I love the way the world looks.
So they start off by explaining that the main characters, they only live for 10 years, which is kind of crazy to think about, a 10-year lifespan. And there's this whole thing where there's like these two warring nations and they're killing each other. And when they do kill each other, they get to like absorb some of the lifespan of who they kill in something called a flame clock. And the concept of that is already really brilliant to me. Like the idea that we would be peaceful, but because I want to live longer, I'm willing to kill you to expand my own lifespan, which is something that people would 100% fight for. It's such a realistic thing that people would fight over. So the second I heard that time is a resource in that sense, of literally, if I kill you, I get to live longer. Therefore, I will kill you and your people. That concept will definitely cause wars, but there's like people behind the scenes pulling strings to manipulate things. So again, the two warring nations, but apparently the council that decides on a lot of things is actually comprised of both of them. So there's like some politics going on here. There's these 6 main characters that you play as, and apparently all of them can fight in battle. I don't know if this is consistent with other games in the Xenoblade franchise.
No, so it's cool. So yeah, all of them will be active in battle at the same time, and you'll be able to switch between them in battle, which is really fucking cool. That is not in Xenoblade 1 or 2. In Xenoblade 1 or 2, you have a party, and then of that party, you can pick like 3 of your members that you're actually actively using, like most RPGs.
Okay. Yeah, so when I was watching the gameplay and they got into battles and there was all 6 people active and they all have different classes, to have a class system that is so expansive, I wasn't ready for it. I was like, oh, the main character, sword user, and then the next character, like shield bearer, and then the next character, healer, and then the next character, strategist, and the next character, whatever. And I thought it was going to kind of stop there, basic classes. And then next thing I know, they were like, and this is something that's also common, you can learn other characters' classes. So your sword character can learn healing stuff, can learn strategist stuff, can learn shield bearing stuff. Okay, I thought it was going to stop there. Then they were like, there are these people called heroes that are a seventh character in battle. There are tons of them. They showed literally a page of them and said, this is only a handful. They said that in the direct. There was a page of like 12, and they said, this is only a handful of them. And they all have their own weapons and their own classes. And you can learn their classes. So there's just like levels on levels on levels on levels on levels in
and
this
then
game.
on top of that, when you learn a class, just like a lot of class learning games like Bravely Default, for example, when you master the class, you gain like permanently one of the arts from that class.
Yes.
And so no matter what class you're in, you like, let's say you're in the soldier class, but you mastered the healer class, you'll be able to have like some healer skill active while you're a soldier.
All right, so we have some technical difficulties or some audio issues, but we are back. We were talking about Xenoblade 3. And yeah, I believe Kenny was explaining how the battle system
I was talking about
games and how it is now.
Yeah, and I was also talking about the class system and all the changes in the arts, and there's also like these double arts apparently. I'm not 100% sure how it works because that's not in the other games, but you can like get two arts and fuse them together and then like use one art and it uses two arts or some crazy shit.
Yeah, they have combo arts.
Yeah, all that on top of like the class system and the mastery arts and all the different classes that you can get from not just your party, the extra party members, and how all that intertwines with then this whole other system where two characters can fuse and become like this fucking Gundam.
Ouroboros, they call it.
And then that has its whole own mechanic.
Yo,
and
that part was so cool to me because so two characters can fuse, and it has to be like, so there's 6 characters and each of them just has one partner. So it's like they don't have it where, oh, the main character confused with any of the other 5. It's like, no, him and this one girl always fuse together and it goes down the list. Anyways, when you fuse, just like Gogeta and Vegito, there's 2 forms of the fusion.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is going to be based on one character more, and the other was going to be based on a dominant version of the other character. And I think that is so fire that they made a Vegito and Gogeta version of each fusion, and you literally see them swapping between the 2. They say depending on the situation, you may need to switch up which one you use. So really well thought out. I don't know where the company that makes Xenoblade found the time to do all of the shit that's in this game. There's so much going on with just the combat system, and then the story itself seems extremely robust. The combat seems extremely robust. The one thing I will say, and this always scares me when I watch demos or like any kind of presentation before a game comes out, there's a lot going on. There's 6 characters on screen, and there's enemies, and they're huge. And it looked very, very frame skippy when I was watching the presentation. A lot of the battles just looked like they would slow down a bit because of all of the effects that were happening. And this is something that I experienced on other Switch games like Monster Hunter Rise. I actually turned down the hit effects because those special effects can just fuck the frame rate, to put it bluntly. They just do.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if like that's a thing in Xenoblade games where they kind of just drop frames a bit because of how much is going on in the fights, or if they're naturally a little slower.
Yeah,
I'm wondering about that.
In Xenoblade 2, I remember there was definitely some frame drops, and it could be annoying. I think that it annoys other people more than it does me. For me, it depends. Like some games, when I play it for enough hours, I get so into it that the frame drops kind of stop bothering me.
Yeah,
and like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Noticing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know some people like avid. So like I'm a PC gamer, but I'm not like a PC elitist. Where there's some people that are like PC gamers, and like if they're not like getting 120 FPS high fidelity at all times, and it like drops, they can't, the game's unplayable.
Yeah.
I'm not really like that. And so like that happens in Xenoblade 2, like Breath of the Wild, it happens. And I don't know, I kind of just like get used to it and like play through, because like the game still in general looks really good.
Yeah. So it happens in Monster Hunter Rise, which is the game I play on the Switch the most. I actually realized today that I have 400 hours now, like over 400. And so I play that game. I've played that game a lot, and I played that game a lot. And I will be playing Sunbreak even more, but it drops frames, and I main longsword is one of my primary weapons, which actually does counters. What I realized though is that it actually doesn't hurt me; it helps me in a weird way.
Yeah.
It slows down so bad sometimes that I can blatantly just see the monster's animation better, and I'm able to just press the counter button at the perfect time because it just slowed the game down. So for me, it's not annoying. I can see if I was getting my counters messed up, but I'm actually getting them easier because of the frame drops. So it's weird.
Something that's funny about that. Now I don't know the specifics because I don't play Monster Hunter on PC. I don't own Rise on PC. But I remember hearing when Rise came out on PC, and I think something similar happened in the world, that some weapons. I'm not going to get this all the way correct, but
I'll know exactly what you're about to say.
in general, I think like for example, gunners. I think they like did less damage on PC because so on PC it's like 60 FPS, and
Yeah.
because it's more smooth, like piercing damage did less hits or something
So
like that.
it actually is the opposite. On PC, because it's so smooth and because there's so many more frames, the bullets actually stay in the monster longer. And I know that sounds weird, but the bullets stay in the monster longer, and they register more because of how smooth it is. So there's more hits when it's on PC than there are on like Monster Hunter World. When I play Monster Hunter World on PS4, granted, I play on PlayStation 4 Pro with an SSD, so I like modded it and everything. And mine doesn't have any of the problems, but when I played on regular PS4 with a regular hard drive, for sure the load times were atrocious, and it definitely has some frame drops when certain things were happening. But once you like use a Pro and you just use an SSD, none of that is a thing anymore. So it is true though, when you have a smoother game with higher frames per second, guns are just better overall, and all the weapons are better overall, but like guns literally benefit from having those extra frames, just in there.
As if they weren't good enough.
Yes, as if they weren't already. Every single Monster Hunter game that's ever been created, guns have always been at the top of the food chain as far as DPS goes. They're just, it's always been a broken play style. But yeah, anyway, back to Xenoblade. So I just was wondering about the frame drops because, again, this is a presentation. This is not the full game. The game's not finished.
Yeah.
And I was wondering the same thing about like the fighting game coming out soon, the platformer. It looks very like frame droppy too. The one that has Arya Stark in it and Bugs Bunny and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So like, the game might come out and it may be way quicker, less frame drops and stuff, but in the presentation it could look like that for whatever reason.
I mean,
so
that's the thing. The game Xenoblade 3 still has time to be optimized. It's not out yet.
Exactly.
But we'll see. I expect though the game looks really nice and there's a lot of shit in it.
Good.
So I do think there's going to be frame drops, but I think just based on my experience with playing these types of games, I think that over time I just won't notice that anymore.
Yeah. And this is not a turn-based combat game, right?
So I don't 100% know how this is going to work out in this game, but it's not. It's not. So like for example, in Xenoblade 1, right? In Xenoblade 1, you have an auto attack. And in Xenoblade 2. If you're within the proximity of whatever you're fighting, your character will just swing their sword, right?
Right.
And so you freely move around in the battle, and your character will swing their sword. And then you have these arts. And the arts all have cooldowns. So you might have backslash. Backslash is a really strong attack, and it does more damage if you hit the monster from the back. So you're constantly repositioning and things like that. You have attacks that do more damage on the side, things that get extra effects depending on where you hit them. And so you're doing all that, and then all of your arts have cooldowns. So it's not turn-based, but you do have skills that have cooldowns.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not turn-based.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because like in this game, if you were to stand perfectly still, will your characters get wiped out?
Yeah. Because if you mean just stand perfectly still and not do anything,
yeah, like you don't press a single button.
Yeah, you'll
your
die.
Controller is
You're
just
dead.
idle. Okay, just wondering.
Yeah. Because you got to be constantly moving around, and then also you're not using any of your skills. So like the monster's just gonna kill you.
In battle, is there a dodge button or something?
No. So you there's not a dodge button. You just kind of it's like an RPG in that like they're going to try to attack you, and like if you're in the vicinity of the attack, like that attack will have its own accuracy and it'll hit or miss.
Gotcha. Can you literally move away so that the attacks have less chances of hitting you? Is that how this works? Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a grasp of the combat since I've never really played.
You can be outside the vicinity of the attack. So for example, like let's say a monster, let's say it's like a 4-legged monster, right? And like it has a slam, like I don't know, let's say it's Chameleos.
Sure.
And Chameleos goes up and like does that big body slam.
Yeah.
Like if you see him doing that, that attack's in front of him, and like if you can get behind him, like you might not get hit by that attack.
Okay.
But there's not like an actual dodge roll or anything like that.
Gotcha. That's fine. Yeah, I mean the game looks really cool. I there will never be enough RPGs for me to play. I love having an abundance of them and my long list of RPGs that I still need to play. So I don't mind this at all. And I might end up just starting with this one as my true first Xenoblade game, just so that I'm playing it with other people and it may become a podcast episode at some point. It's actually coming out in a month, which is fucking wild because at the same time, Monster Hunter will be coming out with. So Monster Hunter comes out like tonight, basically, but also Monster Hunter, the roadmap revealed that there's going to be all of these expansions and title updates in August and and then again in the winter and stuff. So at the same time Xenoblade comes out, Monster Hunter's first big update will happen, and I'll be still playing Monster Hunter, obviously. Granted,
same.
Depending on how that first title update looks, it may not be enough to hold me for long enough where I don't just like start Xenoblade anyway. But if it is, right, if it is something that I can't just do in like 2 days, because I remember the last title update, we destroyed it. Like we just had, I think it took like 2 days to get full everything, like Valstrax, whatever it was. Like I had everything. And then it was back to, well, that's the end of that. Like I beat Valstrax, I beat all Mother Narwa. And I'm never doing the Narwa quest again because it was awful. And then Valstrax, I got his full armor, which didn't take very long either. And it's busted. So like, yeah, there was, it didn't take long. The expansion was cute, but it just didn't take long to do everything.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens though. Cause like, as we've seen, right? Like for example, leading up to Sunbreak, we've been playing regular Rise again. And like, even when there's nothing to do, the game's still kind of really fun to play.
It is. Like we literally have been playing the last month, basically with like you've been playing with I don't know who, but I've been playing with my friend Dennis, and then you kind of jumped in too lately, and it's just been fun. Yeah. It's just been very, very fun to play. Like I remember you told me like months ago, like, hey, I was playing a little bit of Rise recently and just doing stuff on it, and I just started doing the same thing, and it's despite having no actual goal for myself, it's still very fun.
Still very fun. So yeah. It's going to be tough because I'm still going to want to play Sunbreak around the time Xenoblade 3 comes out. I'm going to just have to play Xenoblade 3 because like I really want to play it and like you to play it because if we can play it and like really dig into it and maybe beat it within a week to like 2 weeks or something like that, then we could like do a podcast episode on it or something.
Yeah, that would be great. Is it those? I'm under the impression that those games take a very long time to beat.
They're very long. Like we're probably not going to beat it.
Yeah, and the way I like to scrub, I don't know what's that term when you scrub all the walls and everything. I'm that guy.
Like face scrape the walls. Like, I remember when. Yeah, I'm the same way. And also, it's you want to talk about scratching the itch? Like Xenoblade games in general have hundreds and hundreds of side quests. There's so many characters
I heard about that.
NPCs that like all have different little side quests and things to do, and like that. And so there's like always so much to fucking do in that game. Yeah. It's crazy.
No, I'm excited for that. The other thing that we wanted to discuss is the Nintendo Direct for the June 28th was the Nintendo Direct. And it immediately kicks off with Sunbreak. So this is the final reveal trailer before the game drops in 2 days from this Direct. So they start out with this. It reveals more monsters that some are returning, some are new, of course. And the gameplay looks phenomenal. I mean, the game is literally coming out tonight, so there's not too much to really say on Monster Hunter Sunbreak. We talked about it a lot on this podcast already.
We'll talk about it more when we actually play it.
Yeah, like there's not much else to say. Like we played the demo already. This just looks more. I'm looking at it right now. This just still looks like an amazing Monster Hunter game. I mean, this is still to me the best Monster Hunter game ever because it has the most quality of life improvements. In fact, they've added a lot of cool things. I guess that's something that I would talk about is as far as quality of life. There's stuff now, like just in the option menu, mounting. Sometimes people would mount by accident. Now they made it where you can go in the options and make it where you can only mount by sheathing your weapon first. So if somebody's attacking a monster that's mountable, it won't just string them up and be like, oh, fuck, I didn't mean to fuck up the mount for the other person who was like doing, whatever they were doing. Yeah. Stuff like that is really cool. You can also change the hit effects. Like you can have it at 100%, 50%, or 25%. And what that does is the visuals for how crazy attacks look, because they're very, very stylized and just vibrant, very Kingdom Hearts looking in Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak. You can turn those effects down so that way it probably will help with the frame drops, but I think it also will help with just being able to see your positioning and see the monster better.
Yeah, like I'm definitely going to have the other players' effects turned down more than my effects.
Same. Turning everyone's down to 25%, and I'll keep mine at like 50. And I'll be fine with that. But yeah, there's all these quality of life improvements. Another thing, the new place Elgato, it has everything in one area with no load screens in between. So like the canteen, the quests counter, the armory, everything is like one big screen. You don't actually go from like, oh, I walked into this area or I walked into this area and there's like a transition effect. It's all just one big ass place. So that's a quality of life improvement as well, because it's just one big HUD, like one place, everybody's there, and we don't have to actually like pull up the menu where you kind of quick travel all around a village, even though that's still completely usable, but you don't have to use that because everything's just blatantly there. So I like stuff like that too. I'm trying to think, did Iceborne do anything like that? Yeah, Iceborne had a second village, but I think the second village for Iceborne was better, but still not that good. Like it was still better than Worlds, because Worlds made you like, World had no wire bug, so you had to actually run everywhere. And I just remember the first place in World that you're in, like the first village, I'll just call it, had a lot of verticality to it, and it was annoying. You had to climb up a lot of places.
I heard it's a pretty big village.
It is.
Kind of like, you're still kind of slow.
Yes. And I know that they wanted that to feel immersive and like really cool, because it's like, oh, this is Monster Hunter World. Everything's super big. Everything's super realistic. Your character's gigantic. Your character looks super real. People are walking around, living their life and doing all types of tasks and stuff. That's great. But at the end of the day, I will take what Rise did and made it where I click a button and I want to go help prep area. I want to go to Gathering Hub. I want to go to Buddy Plaza. Like one click, boom, I'm here. So
it's funny because Rise is a faster game. Like Rise's movement is to the point where like you don't even need a fast travel to get around the hub. Yeah, but like, and it also has that.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
the crazy thing about it, you really don't need the fast travel thing at all.
You don't, like, because of how quick your movement. Like, if you were a Rise character in World, you'd be good. You'd be like, I don't even need the fast travel. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, so I really like that it is a thing, because I use it all the time, maybe out of just sheer laziness. But then I think that it just convenience. I love the fact that they just add these little things that are convenient. And I'm assuming that even though everything is in one big area with no load screens in Sunbreak, I assume that there's still probably a menu that will teleport you around to the individual stations where things are located in this town.
I could see that.
Like, I can still see that being a thing.
Something I really like about the one change with the monster mounting thing is I pretty much never want to mount a monster, but like I will if I have to. But I just never want to mount the monster. What I'm so happy about now is like when a monster gets like downed where they're ready to mount, they kind of sit there for a while. It's essentially a down.
Yeah.
Now I can just fucking true charge slash their goddamn head.
Yes.
And somebody else can mount them.
Yep.
I'll exactly true charge slash the head, and then somebody else will mount them. It's going to be amazing.
So when a monster gets the ability to be mounted, somebody should for sure start up a true charge flash while the other character prepares to mount the monster. And in fact, I even noticed that when you first start to mount and all the wire strings come out, the monster still takes full damage during that entire animation. So as long as you time it correctly, now it might take some getting used to, but as long as you time it correctly and you press the button to mount while the true charge flash is coming out, it will mount them before the nerf. Because once I'm on top of it, it nerfs the damage by a lot.
It nerfs the damage, Even pre-Sunbreak, I'd done that a lot where if I knew you were about to mount a monster, I would try to hit it right before
definitely it's free damage.
Mount happens. But now it's just going to be so much more like
because now if you set the option to where you can't mount it without sheathing your weapon and pressing A, then like nothing you do with your weapon out will mount the monster.
Yeah. So I can just beat the monster up and then
Yeah, so I like that. That's a quality of life improvement. The next thing in the Nintendo Direct was Nier Automata, the end of Yura edition. So I guess this game is being brought over to the Switch because I don't know what it was on originally.
It's at this point, it's on everything. I think it was originally on the PS3.
Okay.
But it's on the PS4, PS3. It's on the Xbox One. It's on probably the PS5 by now. It's on Steam. It's on everything. And now it's coming to Switch.
So can you explain this? Because you've played this, you've beat it, right?
Yes.
So what exactly is this game? Is this an RPG? Is it like...
It is an action RPG.
So like Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, in vein of Kingdom Hearts. Obviously it doesn't play like Kingdom Hearts, but yes, it's like Kingdom Hearts and it's an action RPG. And you level up, you have stats, you have equipment, and it is an RPG. You play through it, there's a storyline, and it's got incredible music. It's made by Square Enix. Like it's got
Square Enix.
It's got everything that you want. Like it's so hard that even that game has had such an effect on me, and the point where like when I think about it, I feel like my chest gets heavy. because something about that game, the story, the things that happen, like the philosophy of that game, kind of like spoke to me so much, and there was
Yeah.
so much about that game that I found so interesting and so heavy, and done in like also a really cool way. And they do like kind of goofy shit. There's just goofy shit in the game, but while it being absurdly goofy, it's got this really serious tone in other areas too. It's an incredible game, awesome story, awesome character designs. Music is just it. I want everyone to play it. I would if you eventually play it, I would love to do a podcast
Well,
episode
now
on
that
it.
it's on Switch, it's definitely playable now more than it's ever been. So I'll probably get it on my other Switch, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'll consider it then. The next thing is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I have nothing to say about this. This does not speak to me at all.
Was that wait? Which one was that?
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes? I don't really know what to make of this. Like
I don't remember which game that was.
it just doesn't look like something I would play. It's a murder mystery, a maze of deceptions.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
just-
it looks
yeah.
cool, but I'll probably.
It's a puzzle adventure game. It's just not for me. Super Bomberman R2. I've actually never played a Bomberman game in my life. So
I have. They're cool, but I just like Bomberman R came out like when the Switch came out, and yeah, it's cool, but I can't see myself paying. It's just not a full price game. Like Bomberman, especially in 2022, it's not the kind of game you can charge $60 for.
They charge 60 for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And, like,
wild. I just looked at it. It does not look like a $60 game. So you were 100% right about that.
Yeah. It's just not. I just can't buy it. Like I can't buy
$60 is crazy
like,
for that. What I just watched, no.
It's not $60 cool.
Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is coming out, which is actually really cool. When I was a kid and playing Game Boy Advance, SP, and stuff like that, there were Mega Man Battle Network games that were out, and I always would play a little bit of them. I never really fully getting into them because they were so different than the Mega Man games that I grew up on. Like I grew up on Mega Man 8, I grew up on Mega Man X, X4, X5, X6, all of the Mega Man X series, and Mega Man Legends. Those are my main Mega Man games. And obviously I played the really, really old ones too, but those are whatever. Battle Network was always just like a very niche, completely different. Like it just had the name Mega Man to me, but it wasn't really Mega Man. I liked the anime though more than I liked the actual game. The anime made Mega Man seem cool as shit with his fucking hero sword, and I don't know, he was just really cool in the actual anime. But then in the game, I just felt like I was constrained, and I would love to have the Mega Man from Battle Network in a fighting game, for example. Right? Like if they changed for the next Smash game, instead of having the Mega Man 8, because that is literally like original Mega Man in Smash. If they changed him from that one to be the one from Battle Network, or even Mega Man X, which a lot of people have asked for Mega Man X. But we're probably not getting that. Would just be hype. But I would love Battle Network. Battle Network is cool as shit, and it would completely change Mega Man's moveset. So
yeah, it would be completely different. It'd be interesting. It's cool because Mega Man's a kind of character. Not that we would see this, but he's the kind of character where if they wanted to, you could have Mega Man, you could have X, and you could have Battle Network Mega Man, and they'd be three different characters.
You could have his villain Sigma. There could be they could go all out for Mega Man if they ever wanted to, if they ever got the licensing to do it or whatever is needed for that. They could definitely bring more Mega Man into Smash. I like how this somehow turned into a Smash conversation, but that's just the nature of Nintendo. Everything is a possibility now. So
that's true.
Okay, the next thing on this is something called Blanc. And I'm sorry. Before Blanc is Pac-Man World Repack.
Yeah,
this actually looks fun. I was literally this game actually does look fun. Pac-Man World.
If I remember, like, I'm assuming that's a remake.
It is. It says Repack. Yeah.
Yeah. So that game's fun. Like I remember playing that back in the day on GameCube. Like it's legitimately a fun game.
Yeah. Blanc is another game that does not speak to me at all. It's literally in black and white. It has a deer and little animals, and it just looks absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's available February 2023. I will hard pass on this.
That's a game that that's the kind of game that I get really I'm pretty interested in that. Like I don't know if I'll get around to playing it, but those like super stylized artistic games sometimes, like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I do not care at all, but I don't know what the quality is.
That'll end up
sometimes
being
I see it and I'm like, ooh.
That's the game that'll end up sweeping the award show next year. It'll be like it won everything. Best story directing, best original score, best gameplay, best character design. Yeah. It'll just be like, and I'll be like, what the fuck is that? I never even heard of that. I never even heard of Blanc. And then here I am like shitting on it. But After Blanc, it's Return to Monkey Island. This it looks like a kid's game. I'll be honest. It has like pirates and very
Oh, it
stylized.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's like another remake kind of thing.
Okay. Looks very, very kiddie. Not for me, but that's the type of thing you get with the Switch. You're gonna have that. Next is Mario and the Rabbids Spark of Hope. This looks hilarious.
This game looks so hype.
It does.
It looks so fun.
It looks so hilarious. I think the Rabbids, just their design, is so cursed. It's like Rabbit Rosalina is fucking that's a cursed image. That is a cursed image.
Yeah, I like strategy games. That's a strategy game.
Yeah.
With like pretty cool gameplay. So I'm pretty interested in playing that.
Yeah, because even Mario makes even things like tennis and soccer way better by adding Mario elements to it. Like strategy games are already like I find strategy games pretty fun too, but then you add the Mario effect into it and it makes it even better. It just enhances it. So yeah, Mario and the Rabbids, that's coming out. They show some gameplay for that. Nothing too crazy. Next we have Little Noah, Scion of Paradise. This actually looks really cool.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming it's a roguelike type of game, meaning that like it's a game that you can play and like what happens is kind of random. And you do like runs. I might be wrong though, but regardless, that game looks really fucking.
It looks kind of like that game Hollow Knight that Medina used to play a lot. It has that vibe to it.
It's a side scroller. It might be like a Metroidvania. I don't know. That game looks really cool. I'm very interested in that.
The next one is Railgrade. So I made the joke to Kenny when I was watching the Nintendo Direct, but this is a game where you literally build train tracks and supply lines so that your things in the economy can run smoothly, which is literally Nintendo saying it's so bad out here with the supply chain issues we've been having that we're going to make a fucking game where you can get it right. So that way kids these days will grow up knowing how to properly manage a supply chain. That's how bad the issues are right now. Kids are going to grow up with experience on how to not have supply chain issues because they've played Railgrade when they were a kid. And they're like, oh, I know how to fix this. So, so I just think this is one of the most ridiculous games I've ever seen. Literally, for the gameplay footage, they show you putting down tracks and shit like some kind of Sims world, and then they just show you simulating your trains running around. And if you build it incorrectly, they will crash into each other and people will die, Derek. So I just think that this is
not
ridiculous.
Derek.
Yes, Derek. Next thing is RPG Town: The Legend of Wright. No clue what this is, but it looks like a rant.
Was that the Disney one? No, right? What was that?
It doesn't look Disney.
That was like that game. I actually was really. That's like the farming game. It's like a farming RPG.
So it just says RPG Town: The Legend of Wright, and Wright is spelled with a W. So
I don't know. Maybe it's not that one. I forget the names of everything.
Very childish. I don't know. It does not look like something that me and you would play. It looks like something that a very young child would play, if I'm being completely honest.
We'll see. Oh, wait, is this? Oh, I'm just looking at the direct right now.
Yeah, take your time. I don't think this is something that we would play though. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But go ahead.
All right, and then after that is Sonic Spin Dash into a new zone. So Sonic Frontier. It is an open world Sonic game. We've been hearing about this for a while, and so people have been already shitting on this game because it basically looks like this doesn't necessarily mean it's a Sonic game. It looks like something that somebody took artifacts from Unreal Engine, created an open world, and said, we're going to put Sonic in the game, but this is not at all a Sonic. Like, there's nothing about Sonic. Like, if you ever played a Sonic game before, there are no Sonic elements in this fucking trailer at all.
It really does look like Sonic is modded into a game.
Yes, it looks like Unreal Engine being used with a bunch of artifacts like open world, grass, rocks, shit like that, cliffs, and then you just throw Sonic at it and call it a Sonic game, but that's actually not what it is. It's literally Sonic modded into an Unreal Engine open world, and you call it Sonic. So it does not have
kind
Sonic.
Of fun, but it does not look polished. I'm gonna have to really wait till I see more to see if I'm interested in this.
Yes, agree. I would not be paying $60 for this the way it looks, but we'll see. I also said on Facebook last night that if they don't include a child guard, they can keep it. I was only half joking about that, but like low key, child guard does need to come back. I don't give a fuck how long it's been. Child guard was fire, and I miss it. So there's that. Let's see. We got Disney.
That's the Disney game, and this is I don't give a fuck about this.
Yep, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Hard Pass. I see Mickey Mouse, and it's not Kingdom Hearts. So Live Alive.
Yeah, this game, I'm very excited for this game. This is a old Japanese RPG that never came out in the West that's being remade and now being released globally. And it's a remake, but I'm sure you can tell by the art. It's the artist that did like Octopath
I
Traveler and
can
Bravely
literally see.
Default.
Yeah, it looks exactly
Yeah.
like it. It says multiple
So
stories featuring different protagonists and time periods. So that's
yeah,
literally the same exact type of genre as Octopath Traveler.
I've known about this game, but I've never played it, and I'm really, really, really excited for it.
Yeah, so apparently a demo's out already too. If
Yeah, I
you
think I might try the demo. Sometimes demos have a bad effect where sometimes demos satisfy me, and then like I don't want to.
oh
Then like I'm not
shit.
in a rush. I'm not in a rush to play the game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that. I thought you were gonna say sometimes. Well, I guess this is what you said. I thought you were gonna say sometimes demos ruin my experience or they ruin it for me, in a sense that it's kind of disappointing. But you're basically saying instead of it being disappointing, it's kind of like, well, I got what I needed out of that, and now I don't need to play it.
Yeah, that happens. Not a lot, but
Yeah, but
sometimes
it's the
that
fact that
happens.
it can happen. Like
Yeah,
I know, and you know that no matter how much we played the Sunbreak demo, that shit couldn't stop us from playing the full game.
yeah. That said, I didn't play the demo much, not because I thought it would burn me out from Sunbreak, because it wouldn't. I just didn't want to see Malzeno's fight. Like I just want to like get fucked up by Malzeno when I have to, and then because I'm assuming the Malzeno fight in the demo is like super a harder version.
It
After
is.
I like play Sunbreak, I'll probably go back to the demo and do like super hard Malzeno if that makes
It
sense.
is. It's super hard, and it's super hard. It's so fucking hard. So I did it because I like challenging myself in my Sonic games. And also it got me very used to using switch skill swap, which is fucking mandatory. Like it is so not only for the iframes that shit gives you, but you actually do need to use multiple things to take down enemies in this game. So I really like that they're forcing our hand and
Oh wait,
not just
Switch that flip has iframes.
yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't know. So I knew the flip was a really good reposition tool and you could maybe use it to get out of the way, but I didn't know it had iframes.
So after we fight Malzeno and Mouse Hunter Sunbreak at some point, which will probably be honestly like day one, if after we fight Malzeno, look at my playthrough of fighting Malzeno, and you'll see me
Yeah.
blatantly use it. You'll see an attack come past me, and I just flip, and nothing happens. No
Yeah, I'll
damage.
definitely do that.
Yeah, it has iframes. I mean, honestly, you don't even have to watch the playthrough. You will realize it has iframes when you iframe out of a move by
Yeah,
accident, and you're like, oh shit. I knew it had iframes because of the people who have been playing the demo. When the demo first dropped, I follow a ton of YouTube channels, and they were talking about how this does have iframes. So,
Cool.
so I already knew it had it. So when I was fighting him, I just accidentally, like, I wanted to just switch my skill and also reposition, but it ended up dodging an attack, and he hits hard as fuck. So I was happy. But yeah. All right. So we got the next thing on this is another game that no one's interested in, Doraemon Story of Seasons.
Hey, they're interested in Japan. Doraemon is, if you don't know, is like one of the most popular anime of all time in Japan.
Yeah.
It's like a family anime, but in the West, it's like not really a thing. So
Yeah, this isn't for us. This doesn't speak to me. Minecraft Legends. So currently Steve is plaguing the Smash community. Steve is absolutely destroying the tier list, and he's the best character in the game, and all the scrubs are being carried by Steve. So now we get a new Minecraft game, or maybe not a new Minecraft game, but a Minecraft game on the Switch that Steve players can pick up and probably get better at Smash by doing so. So that's happening.
rants.
Dragon Quest Treasures. A new Dragon Quest game, I guess, or maybe a port from
Yeah,
Japan.
I honestly don't know. So there's so many Dragon Quest games. I'm not sure if I don't really. I just like a Dragon Quest game. I don't know if this is a new one, a remake, a new because like Dragon Quest has a lot of like spin-offs. Like they have Dragon Quest Monsters, which is basically like a Dragon Quest Pokemon game.
Yeah, this doesn't look like the conventional
yeah.
RPG Dragon Quest that I'm used to. This definitely looks like some other shit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so I don't know what this is, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
But
Then we got what? Fire Emblem Warriors: Three Hopes.
yeah, that game's already out.
Yep, it says available now.
So they were just kind of showing it off again, like, hey, go buy it.
No Man's Sky, October 7th, 2022. No Man's Sky. A Plague Tale Requiem Cloud version. A game that looks very, very good. Like the graphics on this look insanely high. Don't know what to think about that. Other than that, Captain Velvet Meteor, the Jump Plus Dimensions.
This looks. I don't know. I think it's like a strategy game, but I'm not like looking for
Yeah,
it.
these are blurbs in the showcase.
They're just
Like
like
they're
this is like the sizzle reel. It's just like showing shit.
yes, this is so small if you look at the red bar on YouTube for this direct. Then there's Portal Companion Collection. This was actually revealed before, and I guess they're just showing it again. But this looks interesting, but it's not something that I will play. But it does look like it looked like something that would be cool to spectate, a competitive version of Portal.
Yeah. So the next thing is what the Harvestella is the game I was thinking of where it's like an RPG farming simulator. So
Okay.
this game, I think, from what I understand, you have like a farm. You create like a farm in this little village, and you build up your farm and do all this other shit with it. It's like that farming sim, like Harvest Moon kind of thing. And then
Right.
it also apparently has like full RPG mechanics where you can go out and explore and like do RPG battles and shit like that. So
Yeah, I'm
I'm actually
watching.
looking for this game. Like this game looks really interesting, and I'm keeping my eye on it.
Yeah, it does look actually really cool. It gives me Dark Cloud vibes if that's the case.
Mm,
I don't know if anybody's ever played Dark Cloud, but it was a game where you create your town, literally. Yeah, you get the materials and stuff, and you can build towers and houses and banks and all types of shit. And that was kind of the point of the game. But then it also had this RPG element where you would go into dungeons, and it would be a full-on RPG in a dungeon, and it would be very difficult too. So it kind of has a Dark Cloud vibe, but probably more fleshed out because that game was very old and not very well fleshed out. So
and
Personas, they're all coming to the Switch. Just every
yeah,
Persona game is going to be on the Switch. That's what you need to know.
people have been waiting for this. People have been waiting this since before Smash Ultimate, but especially when Joker got revealed for Smash Ultimate, everybody and their mom were like, "Oh, Persona 5 is going to come to the Switch." Like everybody was like, "This is obviously going to be used as promotion. They're going to sell Persona 5 on the Switch." And then years passed with no word of Persona 5 coming to the Switch. And then like they came out with Persona 5 Royal, and that didn't get announced for the Switch. And everybody was like, "What the fuck? Is Persona 5 really not coming to the Switch after adding Joker to Smash?"
I
So
literally
this
thought when I first saw this was just Joker 2. I didn't know what this was. I said, "Oh God, we're about to get Joker 2," and it was actually just Persona being ported. So good on them.
Yeah, I'm happy it's finally because I have been really wanting to play this game, but I don't personally own a PS4 or anything like that. I never had a real way of having access to it. It coming to the Switch means that I'll actually have access to it now. As Fraser said earlier, I fucking love JRPGs. I can't get enough of them. And this game is a game that has been highly, highly regarded from a lot of people in the same way that I highly regard and other people highly regard Xenoblade. Persona 5 has been highly regarded from many fucking people. And
Yeah.
so it's just a JRPG I feel like I have to play at some point.
Okay. So what's next on this list? We have the outro. So that was it. So it ended with Persona, and that's pretty much everything. So lots of stuff coming out on the Switch. Obviously, only a few titles are actually for us. A lot of the stuff is either stuff that we already knew about or things that are for different audiences.
Yeah.
As you can see, the IMNerd podcast, we're pretty heavy on RPGs, I would say. That's kind of our thing. And the rest of the stuff is either kid-like or just simulators that we're not interested in, like building supply chains. I'm not interested in that. That doesn't speak to me. But Xenoblade is great. Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary is great. And also, tonight is the night where Monster Hunter Sunbreak comes out. And it's all I can think about. This is this is one of our shorter episodes, but as you guys know, we've done episodes that are well over 2 hours, 3-hour episodes. And then we've had like 1 or 2 episodes that are on the shorter end. So this is definitely going to be one of them.
It is weird, like going into this episode today before we started recording. It was weird because like I have this feeling in my chest and in my brain where the only thing I want to do is think about Sunbreak at the moment. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I'm in a
It's
fucked up
huge. I mean,
spot.
this is Capcom's biggest game. Like Monster Hunter is Capcom's
Oh,
biggest game.
you know what I wanted to say before we get out of here?
What's
I
up?
briefly mentioned this before we started the podcast. So it's going to suck so much, right? Because Thursday I have to go to work, and I think one of the worst things. It's not being at work and not playing the game isn't the worst thing. The worst thing is the fact that I'm going to be at work all day and I'm going to be thinking about the game and
Yeah.
wanting to play it or wanting to talk about it. And I think one of the most horrible things when you're like a nerd or whatever and you're a geek and you're into shit like this is when you're at work around normal people,
Yep.
you just want to talk about it and like nobody could possibly hold a conversation with you.
Yeah, their
It's
world is so
so
different than normies. It's so interesting
yeah.
how they don't even realize that there's this amazing thing happening right now, and they have no idea. They're just living in their fucking boring normie world.
Yeah, like I just want to talk about it. Like if I had somebody at work I could just talk about it with, it'd be dope.
Bro,
But there's
imagine
just
just not playing video
nobody.
games. Like
Yeah,
imagine your life, your entire life with not even just video, no games. Just imagine a life with no, like people live their life without games.
I don't understand
That
it.
is insane to me.
There is like, there's like people that don't play games. They don't. I guess they'd argue that like they're living real life and they're going out hiking and
No,
shit. Like I guess that's
no.
cool, but
Real life sucks.
I don't know, man. It's
Get with the times. Real life
it's
sucks,
weird.
guys. Going outside is fucking gross. No one
It's
goes outside. The kids are playing Fortnite. There's a reason for that. They don't play jailbreak anymore. They don't play catch a girl, freak a girl. They don't do that. They don't play tag.
yeah,
They
man.
freeze tag. That shit's dead. Stay in the house
It's
and play
just
games. It's
yeah.
safe
So
here.
that's going to be the worst part is the fact that I'm going to be at work. I'm going to want to talk about it. Did you ever do this thing? This goes for everybody. Did you ever do this thing? And like every time you do it, you almost like you shouldn't, but you try to talk about it with somebody, and like it's not going to go well, and like but you fucking try because you just got to talk about it, and it's just the most awkward, terrible conversation. Like it just does not go well, and they're just looking at you like, what the fuck? Like, why are you talking to me? Like,
Yeah, no, that's wild. I have a question for you. I guess I'll save it for. I was going to ask about your work schedule because I'm probably going to go to AU anyway tomorrow, just so that like I have some downtime from Monster Hunter.
yeah.
Because like you're going to be
Nothing
working,
wrong
right?
with that.
Yeah, you're going to be
Yeah,
working.
I'm gonna be working. Honestly, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, I'm probably gonna just be like, I'm probably gonna just have to do like some solo content. Like, I'm not really gonna have. I'll try to play like after work with
Yeah,
people, but like, I assume a lot of people are gonna be either asleep or getting ready to go to sleep, and then I'm gonna be tired because I'll be working all
yeah, you have
night.
to sleep at some point
So
yourself. Yeah,
I also have to go to sleep. So unfortunately, like the day Monster Hunter comes out, like the next 3 days, I'm not gonna get to play it much. But on the other side, I only work 3 days a week, unless I have to cover a shift. But then, so after that, I have like 4 days where I can just kind of like
yeah.
no life it and go crazy.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to AU Thursday. Originally, I wasn't gonna leave the house tomorrow, but I think I will actually go to AU. I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'll bring my Switch. But realistically, I like to socialize so much at AU that I don't really see myself playing Monster Hunter like in between
Yeah.
matches.
Unless like 4 people from AU bring their
That
Switch.
would be nuts, but that I don't really the AU community that we have, like me and Gus play Monster Hunter, Xavier somewhat. But other than that, I don't really know anyone else at AU who's because they would have talked about it by now, I feel like, but I don't know anyone else who's really into
Yeah.
Monster Hunter the way I am and like plays it super hard. Maybe there's that one other kid, Armand. They call him my variant. Because his name is Armand Smith, and he is very similar to me in certain ways, but he's a variant, so he's definitely different. But they call him my variant, and he
The
loves Monster Hunter. But
deviant,
he said when I
the
first talked to him
Frickers,
about
the
it,
deviant.
yeah, when I first mentioned Monster Hunter to him, he said that he plays melee bow, and I told him to shut the fuck up. That's not a real thing.
What does that mean?
Listen, and I said that's not a real thing. And then he pulled up a video, the fastest speed run of Narwa, and it's with melee bow. And I was like, okay, that doesn't count. This is a meme. This is a fucking meme, and I'm not trying to hear it. So anyway,
So
the
wait,
bow.
what does melee bow do?
Oh, it does the most damage in the game, but it's like it's a meme. So there's a speed run of a guy using Narga's bow, right? Nargacuga's bow against Narwa, and essentially what you do is once Narwa falls at any point and the stomach is face up, you do that thing like I think it's called dodge bolt or some shit. It's one of the bow's dodge moves, but you swing an arrow, like a physical arrow, so it's not a shot. And it
Yeah.
does over 100 and something damage, maybe even 200 and something. It does way too much, Kenny. It does.
Jesus.
And when I tell you it does way too much damage, you know how in that mission, because of the great spirit bug or spirit bird, you have like a long bar of stamina.
Yeah.
So when she falls, you're just like dodge. And the damage numbers are crazy. And I think the guy beats it in a minute and 50 seconds or something.
Damn.
Like he beats Narwa in a minute and 50 seconds, if not exactly 2 minutes.
But
Or
it's not
159.
something that you could realistically do
No,
consistently
it's
every
not.
month.
It's not real. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
you're a meme. I know what you're talking about, but you are a meme. Because like obviously, I'm really big into speed runs. Like I don't do speed runs
Yeah.
technically myself, but I'm really into them because they show you optimal gameplay, and I just like that. So I already knew about it, but I was like, that's not a real thing. Like I can't be like I'm a melee fucking bow user. Like that's not real.
Yeah, that's a rant.
That's a rant. Anyways, we're getting out of here. As I always say, do the things that make you happy, guys.
Happy hunting.
Happy hunting for real. Oh, we're going to be off for the 4th of July weekend. So there will be no podcast the following Monday after this one drops because 4th of July is on Monday. So we'll be with our families over the weekend celebrating that. And also playing Monster Hunter because we're degenerates. When we return, we will do a Monster Hunter Sunbreak podcast with like a little review of it, the game, and how we feel about it, first impressions, that whole thing. And then I think they want to get a Yu-Gi-Oh guest. It's been a little while since we had a Yu-Gi-Oh guest and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh. We know we got a lot of other content out that we wanted to get out for a while now. So I'm thinking to do a Yu-Gi-Oh guest at some point. I mentioned My Hero Academia, stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, we're getting out of here. Have a good day.
Peace.